The rain never just washes the city clean. It just makes the filth shine. It was doing a hell of a job that night, slicking the asphalt under the strobing police lights and turning the warehouse district into a gallery of glistening decay. From under an awning, I watched the coroner's team load another one into the van, another body bag, another life reduced to a case file. This was the third one. My partner, Pratt, came and stood beside me, the collar of his trench coat pulled up against a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. "M.E.'s calling it," he said, his voice low. Same as the others. Not a single drop of blood left in him, like a human juice box. He let out a humorless laugh. The press is going to have a field day. The vampire killer strikes again. I didn't laugh. I took a sip of my coffee, the bitter heat doing nothing to warm the cold knot in my stomach. "Vampires," I muttered. "What's next, leprechauns?" But something was wrong. My gut, the one that had kept me alive for 15 years on the force, was screaming at me. "This one's different, Pratt." "How so?" "He's just as drained." "Look." "At the scene," I said, gesturing toward the Bloodless alley. The first two were clean, precise incisions, almost surgical. This... I trailed off, thinking of the victim's arm nearly torn from its socket. This was a frenzy. Our vampire is getting sloppy. Or we're looking at something else entirely. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a calendar reminder I didn't need. Emily's anniversary. I swiped it away, the cold knot in my stomach tightening into a fist. Later, while canvassing the area, I saw her. A figure standing in the shadows of a filthy alleyway, perfectly still. My cop instincts kicked in before I could think. "Police!" I called out, my hand resting on the butt of my holstered Glock. "Don't move." The figure turned, and my breath caught in my throat. It was a woman. Even in the dim, ugly light, she was striking, with a stillness that was both elegant and deeply unsettling. There was a dark, wet stain on her white coat. "Ma'am," I said, my voice all business to cover the strange jolt I felt. "This is an active crime scene. What are you doing back here?" "I was taking a shortcut," she said. Her voice was calm, melodic, a strange counterpoint to the squalor around us. "I work nearby." My eyes narrowed on the stain. "You have blood on your coat." She glanced down, her expression unreadable. "An occupational hazard," she replied smoothly. "One of the bags broke while I was handling it. I work at the city blood bank." I should have pressed her. I should have taken her name, brought her in for questioning. But I didn't. I was mesmerized. I saw a loneliness in her eyes that was so profound, so absolute. It felt like looking in a mirror. It was the same void that had stared back at me every morning since Emily's death. "You should be careful," I found myself saying. "This isn't a safe neighborhood at night." A faint smile touched her lips. "I can take care of myself." She walked past me, and for a moment I was enveloped in a scent of night-blooming jasmine and something else. Something cold and ancient, like a forgotten tomb. Then she was gone, swallowed by the darkness. As I turned to leave, my flashlight beam caught something on the wet pavement where she had stood. A single, perfect red rose. It hadn't been there before. The knot in my stomach was back, colder than ever. A week later, I was sitting across from her in a diner, pretending my visit was a routine follow-up. Her name was Vanessa. I'd learned that much. Every answer she gave was plausible, every explanation logical, but nothing felt right. "So, you work with blood all night. You like the dark," I said, trying for a joke. "You're not secretly a vampire, are you?" She looked at me, and her smile was a chilling work of art. It never reached her eyes. "What would you do if I was?" she asked softly. "Try to arrest me?" Before I could answer, she deflected. "You lost someone," she said, her gaze so intense it felt like she was seeing the cracks in my soul. "I can see it in your eyes." I told her about Emily, about the hit and run, the case that went cold, the emptiness. She listened, and for the first time in a year, I felt like someone actually understood. That night, they found another body. This time it was in a parking garage, just 2 blocks from the blood bank. But this one was a horror show. Not drained, but butchered. It was the work of a psychopath, a rabid animal. "It's not him," I told Pratt, slapping the gruesome photos onto my desk. "It's 2 of them. We're looking for 2 killers, Pratt. One is a predator. The other is a monster." My eyes fell on the employee list from the blood bank. Vanessa's name was right at the top. That night, armed with a warrant, I went to the blood bank. The place was dark, silent. I found the back office had been tossed. As I stood in the middle of the mess, the lights flickered on. Vanessa was standing in the doorway. "Looking for something, Detective?" "Albert, the homeless man you were friends with," I said, my voice hard. "He was found dead tonight, drained, just like the others. A bag of blood was stolen from here. His donation. Who are you protecting, Vanessa?" Before she could answer, the world exploded. The main window shattered inward, and a figure, a woman, launched herself through the air at me. She was a blur of motion, a feral snarl of teeth and claws. But Vanessa was faster. Impossibly fast. She intercepted the creature, slamming her into a wall with a sound like concrete cracking. I saw it with my own eyes. The speed, the inhuman strength. My world, the one built on logic and evidence, crumbled to dust in that single, horrifying moment. "He is not for you," Vanessa snarled, and her voice was no longer melodic. It was a guttural growl that belonged to something that hunted in the dark. The other woman giggled, a sound of pure madness. "Lilith is tired of waiting. She wants to see if the detective's blood finally awakens your appetite." The creature, who I later learned was named Chloe, vanished back into the night. I was on the floor, my mind reeling, my gun useless in my hand. I stared at Vanessa, at the woman I had been inexplicably drawn to. "What are you?" I whispered, the words feeling foreign and small. The mask was gone. All I saw in her eyes was centuries of anguish and regret. "Something you should have run from," she said, and then she too was gone. The call came at dawn, a blocked number. It was Vanessa. Her voice was strained, urgent. "They have him. Chloe, she has your partner." My blood ran cold. "Where?" "She wants to trade his life for yours. But she's not the one in charge. It's a test for me. Don't come, Walker. It's a trap." She gave me the address, an abandoned cathedral on the edge of the city. I knew it was a trap. I knew I was a man with a gun walking into a war between gods and monsters. But he was my partner. I had to go. The cathedral was a skeleton of stone and shadow, lit by 100 flickering candles. Pratt was tied to a pillar. Chloe, the feral one, was circling him like a hyena. And in the choir loft, sitting on a throne carved from dark wood, was another woman. She was older, impeccably dressed, and radiated an aura of such ancient, malevolent power that the very air seemed to bend around her. This had to be Lilith. I stepped inside, my footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Let him go. From the shadows, Vanessa appeared. "This is between us, Lilith," she said. "Let the mortals go." Lilith smiled, a slow, cruel curving of her lips. "But darling, they are the whole point. You've starved yourself, refused my gifts, so I brought you motivation. Kill the feral one. Prove you are worthy of my blood. Or the detectives die." What followed was not a fight. It was a maelstrom, a whirlwind of violence that defied physics. I managed to cut Pratt free, screaming at him to run, to call for backup. The last he saw before he fled was Vanessa driving a broken piece of wood into Chloe's chest, turning her to dust. Lilith applauded slowly. "Bravo," she purred, descending the stairs. Her eyes landed on me. "Now, for your reward." She moved toward me, and I knew I was about to die. But Vanessa, with a final, desperate surge of strength, tackled her. They crashed through a massive, stained glass window depicting a forgotten saint, and fell to the stone steps below. I rushed to the shattered window. The sirens were screaming in the distance, getting closer. Below, Vanessa was struggling to rise. Lilith was gone, vanished into the shadows. Vanessa looked up at me, her eyes pleading. "She'll be back," she whispered, her voice ragged. "She'll hunt us both." I looked at the approaching lights of the world I knew, the world of laws and logic. Then I looked at her, the monster who had just saved my life. The law couldn't touch this. My gun was useless. I made a choice. As the first police cars skidded to a halt out front, I was already on the steps below, helping her to her feet. I didn't look back. I led her away from the broken cathedral, away from the flashing lights of my old life, and into the deep, waiting darkness of the forest. I was a man of the law, now a fugitive. She was a killer who had saved me. Our hunt had just begun.